This is a video if you've signed up to take part in a study via the University of Alberta Research Participation Scheme, and that study is connected to the Cognition lab. A few things you'll need to take part in the study. You will need a PC. Macs at this time are not compatible. You will need a keyboard that is configured to the English language, and you'll also need an internet connection. You'll need to write down 4 important pieces of information. You'll need to write down the study code that you've signed up for, the study password that will be provided after you've given consent. You'll need to make a note of your numeric student ID, that's the student ID that you're using at UAlberta, and you'll also need to generate and remember a personal identifier. We'll walk through all of these things right now using an example. If at any time you become lost or confused in this process, you can always go to the Recognition Lab website, and here there are tabs for online instructions and also online frequently asked questions. If you've signed up for a study via the UAlberta Research Participation Scheme, you will have been given a Google form link. Go to that link now. This link provides an electronic consent form. Please take the time to read this consent form carefully by clicking Next on each of the tabs. Please take the time to read that information carefully. At the end of the consent form, you'll be required to make a decision, in that you either consent or you choose not to consent to the project on the basis of the information that's provided. If you need a digital copy of the consent form and the information contained within it, you can access a PDF version of that consent form right here. If you choose to consent to the study, click on I consent and click Next. Here's where the Google form will ask you for specific pieces of information. First off, you will be required to enter your UAlberta numeric ID. For illustration purposes, I'm just going to put 1111111. Secondly, you'll be asked to supply a unique personal identifier. The reason that we ask for a personal identifier is to make sure that the data that you provide during the study is anonymized. So I'm going to pick something personally relevant, Fozzie Bear, and click Next. There's optional demographic information that you can also provide if you wish. Your responses have now been recorded. What you need to do is you need to write down this search term and also write down this password. I'll just make a note of these things in my notepad, remembering that I've also used the identifier of Fozzie Bear. Please note that this password is not the real password that will be used for any of the studies that you take part in. Once you have that information, you can then be redirected to the Recognition Lab website. You can exit that screen. To take part in the study, the first thing that you'll need to do is install Presentation Package Player. There's a direct link to the package player and also a separate shorter video if you need to know how to install that. You should click on the direct link, download either the 32 or 64-bit version of the program. If you don't know what bit your computer is, you can go to Control Panel, System and System Type, and that will tell you. We're 64-bit, so we'll download that. And go ahead and install that package. Click on Next. If you accept the license agreement, click on Accept. It's not necessary for you to personalize your installation. And eventually clicking on Next will help you to install that. It may ask you to restart your system to make those changes. You can go ahead and restart that. Make sure that you've saved the information that you require to proceed with the study, either by saving the notepad or simply writing it down on a piece of paper. Once you have installed Presentation Package Player, you can then search for the study that you wish to complete. To do this, go to Download. There'll be a search term that you would need to enter. This is the search term that's been provided at the time of consent. The search terms should match one and one only experiment. You can go ahead and download that experiment. In order to download the experiment, it will require a password, and that password was provided to you at the time of consent. This will not be the password that will be required to complete the studies. Once the experiment's been successfully downloaded, you can go ahead and open that study. Click on Run. And Presentation will ask you to enter your subject name or ID. This is the personal identifier that you provided to us at the time of consent. Please don't enter your UAlberta numeric ID here. The experiment will run automatically and work through each of the conditions that you've signed up to take part in. You can quit anytime by pressing the Escape key. Once you've completed the experiment, the data will be automatically uploaded to presentation software servers. You don't need to do anything further to make sure that we receive your data. At the end of the study, you'll be prompted to return to the Recognition lab. And under Online Instructions, you'll be able to access not only a consent form, but also a debriefing form and also short debriefing video. There's also contact information for the researcher who is carrying out the study. If at any point you are confused, you can always return to the Recognition Lab online instructions page. This will provide you with information on how to download Presentation Package, how to install an individual study, and also contains consent and debriefing information for each individual study in question. If you are confused at any point about what you're doing, you can always return and watch the welcome video. So thank you for taking part in the Recognition Lab studies. A reminder that you will need a PC, a keyboard that's configured to the English language, and an internet connection to take part. And there are 4 important things that you will need to provide to us. You'll need the study code, you'll need a study password, you'll need to enter your numeric student ID at the time of consent, and also provide us with the personal identifier that you use at the time of consent, and finally, just before you begin the study in question. Thanks a lot.